In this lesson, we'll finish setting up the character's leg chains. Now before getting started, let's say we do this. We'll add a new shelf so we can quickly access tools. From here, instead of having to search through each menu, we'll head over to the top left to our shelf menu. Let's go ahead and choose New Shelf. Let's go ahead and name this DT_CRP, Character Rigging for Production. Alright, we'll now go ahead and click OK. So we have this clean slate. Let's go ahead and add our first tool, which will be the Local Rotation Axes tool. So we can quickly toggle those handles on and off. I'll hold down Control-Shift, choose Display, Transform Display, Local Rotation Axes. Alright, fantastic. Now going back to our joints, let's go ahead and take a look at our foot bone. So remember, we're going to develop a foot roll system, but we should also provide animators with foot bending control. And that really helps to add follow through. As the foot rolls up and then pushes off, you can go ahead and rotate the foot back just to create a sense of not only follow through, but it also helps to loosen up the foot a bit. In CG, things tend to look very rigid if we don't add exaggeration, so we have to be really mindful of that. So thinking about this, let's go ahead and grab the foot bone and we'll go ahead and duplicate it. From there, I'll head over to the outliner. We'll go ahead and press the F key to find the duplicate. From there, let's go ahead and expand its hierarchy and remove its end joint, joint 5. Alright, fantastic. Now going back to joint 6, we're going to take its radius and we'll bring it up a little bit more so it's easy to select. Now, let's go ahead and parent it back to our foot bone, as it should follow that foot bone object. So this driving bone will tie to our foot roll system, and when we need a foot bend, we can go ahead and just simply use this joint here. So this is the joint we'll actually skin to. Alright, fantastic. It's now time to rename our joints, and then we can go ahead and mirror this across. Alright, so starting with the thigh, we can use the naming convention of bind L thigh 01. Alright, sweet. Now to break this down, we know that we'll skin to this joint. That's why we use the prefix bind. We also know that this is on the left half of our model. So that's what the _L is used for. We also know that this is for our thigh. So this is the object's ID, thigh. Then finally, the 01 lets us know that this object is unique. So if I were to go ahead and duplicate this, take a look, we now have a suffix of 02, so that either means we need to rename this, or if it's not needed, we can just go ahead and trash the object. Let's go ahead and hit the delete key. Fantastic. So this naming convention is really concise. That's why I enjoy using it. It's just right to the point, and it's not a sentence. It's just what we need to have a really clear name for this object. Let's go ahead and copy this. We'll go down to the shin bone, paste, and that's going to be bind L shin 01. I wouldn't name this knee because we will go in and create a knee bone that's going to be used to hold volume as the knee articulates. So knowing that, again, we'll go ahead and name this the shin bone, since it also is in fact the shin bone. Alright, let's go ahead and move to the ankle. We'll go ahead and paste, and we'll go ahead and name this. That's going to be bind L ankle 01. Now, how about our foot rig? Well, we know that we'll skin to the single joint object that follows this foot bone. So knowing that this bone object here is driving our foot system, we can go ahead and name it JDRV for joint driver _L_foot 01. Alright, sweet. And then for the joint that we'll skin to, we'll go to name this bind L foot 01. Alright, sweet. Just about done. We have this end joint here to rename. What should we do with this? Well, we can go ahead and name this BE_L_foot 01. We're naming it that because, well, we won't skin to this. There are only rare cases when you'd skin to an end joint. Perhaps you're rigging an eyelid and you want to have the control to kind of push the eyelid out a little bit more, well, you can go ahead and skin to your end joint. Or later, we'll develop a rig for the buttocks to hold volume as the legs move. And we'll make sure to skin to our end joint just to help us hold volume. So those are just a few ideas. All right, sweet. So since we won't skin to this, we'll use the prefix BE. And the beauty of this is, when we go to our select by name field at the top, and we search for bind, and we add an asterisk afterwards, once we hit enter, you'll notice that Maya is going to only grab the objects that have that prefix. Fantastic. So this is just a quick way of grabbing all of our skin objects. So we can quickly go ahead and apply our skin cluster. Fantastic. All right, well, now that all of this is done, let's say we do this. We'll go ahead and mirror our chain across. I'll go ahead and grab the thigh. We'll head over to skeleton, mirror joint. I'll go ahead and hold down Control Shift and click on the option box. We'll go ahead and add the option box because we might change the settings a bit later on. But for right now, let's go ahead and just reset our settings. And we covered this more in depth in our intro to rigging in Maya course, but it's really straightforward. Might as well cover it now. All right, so we're mirroring across our YZ plane. Imagine a plane drawn between these two axes, and that's what we want to mirror across to make sure our chain lands on the right half of our model. So go ahead and use YZ. And then behavior, make sure that when we rotate our joints, we get this mirrored effect. Whereas orientation will keep the orientation of the source joint, meaning that the orientation is going to be exactly the same. So let's go ahead and use behavior in this case. And now search for and replace with, this is a way to quickly rename the joints on the right side. So we used _L_ for the left. Let's go ahead and type that in the search for field. And for replace with, that's going to be _R_. Now we don't want to just add an L and just an R because we don't want all of our L's and R's being renamed. All right, so we just want to get a little bit more specific, and that's why we add these underscores after the direction. Let's now go and click on mirror, and there we have it. So now when we grab both eyes and we rotate, let's go and grab our rotate tool. I'll start to rotate, and you'll notice that they now have this mirroring effect. All right, fantastic. So everything's working out well. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup work. We'll go to our outliner. We'll go ahead and take our two joints, the two thighs, and we'll go ahead and group with Control G. You'll see that it will place the pivot right at the origin. Fantastic. And this is where we would want our global controls pivot. So this is going to work out just fine. We'll eventually tie this to a global node that we will use to globally transform the character, resize, reposition, reorient. And if this did not happen when you hit Control G, just go ahead and take a look at your group settings. We'll actually be changing the settings up as needed, but I'll go ahead and head over to the group option box. Let's go ahead and take a look. So you can see this is set to parent, that's what we want, but we want the pivot at the origin. So let's make sure it's there. We can go ahead and preserve our position and click group. All right, fantastic. So there we have it. Our group has been made. Now, looks like we have an extra group. No worries, I'll just go ahead and take group 1 and press Shift P to unparent. I'll take group 2 and delete that. Now group 1, let's say we do this, we'll rename this joints 01. So this is going to be for our joints, our bone objects. Let's now head over to our channel box. We'll go ahead and highlight all of our channels, right click and choose lock and hide selected. Fantastic. So now it's clear that this is only a container for our joints. All right, so that's going to be it for this lesson. Now in the next lesson, we'll go ahead and start working on that tool to quickly reset the orientation of our joints.